Greetings, good programs. It's your friendly neighborhood TRONcast. It's on like Tron. And today's episode is a follow-up to my last video's virtual tour of Pinup Arcade Bar, Waterloo Region's retro-style arcade. While I never saw the Tron movie as a kid, I was well aware of the arcade game. Released in 1982 by Bally Midway in conjunction with the movie, it was just as unique at the arcade as it was in the theater. Most games that were king of quarters at the time, like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Galaxian, were repetitive in their gameplay. Sure, some of the levels may have offered new layouts or enemy configurations, but they usually involved the same character sprite going in the same direction fighting the same enemies. Tron was different in that it offered 4 unique modes of gameplay, and it was up to the user to decide which order the sub-games would be played in. The great thing about all 4 game options is that it allowed you to play as Tron.
Hey, who's that guy?
That's Tron. He fights for the users.
Tron.
Even though the movie was named after him, Tron was a supporting character to Jeff Bridges' Flynn character. He was pushed even further into the background in the movie sequel, Tron Legacy, when he was repurposed as Clue's corrupted henchman, Rinsler. You can't even play him for very long in Tron Evolution, the modern game either. And while his role is substantially beefed up as the mentor figure in the animated series Tron Uprising, he's still not the main character.
Stranger and stranger.
Tron the arcade game is a rare instance of when Tron is the main character. The 4 sub-games are the I.O. Tower, where you have to guide Tron into the input-output tower before the time limit runs out while fighting grid bugs.
This isn't going to be easy. If those grid bugs get us, we've had it.
The Battle Tanks game, where you have to guide your tank through a maze while battling the enemy using blasts that ricochet off the walls.
I should never have written all those tank programs.
The MCP Cone, where Tron must break through the shield to enter the cone. And my favorite, the Light Cycle Battle, where you race your opponent and try to make them crash into your cycle's light trail. A 5th game was supposed to be included, but it wasn't completed in time for the machine's release, and so it received limited release the following year as Discs of Tron.
On the other side of the screen, it all looks so easy.
It's all about the light in Tron, so the joystick area featured a blacklight panel, and a translucent joystick that glowed in the light as well, along with another lit up panel below. The games included are all the things Kevin Flynn encounters during his stay in the grid, and so the arcade unit doesn't actually exist in the first movie, although the Light Cycle game that inspired it appears in Flynn's arcade at the beginning of the first movie. The actual Tron arcade unit does appear in Tron Legacy though, when Kevin's son Sam visits his father's old arcade. It has a spot all to itself and is naturally the first game young Flynn wants to play. I thought it was such a cool touch, including the actual original Tron arcade machine in the movie, blurring the lines of fantasy and reality. They got blurred even more when I found out there was an arcade in the 80s in my hometown called Flynn's. The highlight of my first trip to Pinup Arcade was the beautifully restored Tron arcade machine. My reaction when I saw this legendary machine in pristine, restored condition? The controls and buttons are clean and crisp. The screen is crystal clear. And the lit up sign on top looks as fresh as the first machines that rolled out in '82. This one has a really cool upgrade from the original. This spinning MCP tower was originally just a lit up still image on the original machine, but this one has a screen with an animated rotating graphic on it. Since the machine covered the secret doorway to Kevin Flynn's lab in Tron Legacy, I was hoping this particular machine might have some sort of secret doorway as well, but unfortunately, it doesn't look that way. Or maybe Shay just isn't as obvious as Kevin Flynn was. Maybe I should try the Burger Time machine next time. It took me a bit to get used to the controls on this machine. It's not your typical button masher. The joystick feels more like a jet control stick and has a trigger on it which controls your shooting. Your aim isn't controlled by the joystick though, it's controlled by the dial. So you could actually have a friend aim for you while you control Tron's movement and firing. I really like the variety in the 4 games offered as well. They all remind me of some of my favorite Atari games, like Surround and Combat, except with upgraded graphics and more intricate controls. My favorite's the light cycles though. Now this I can do! I love how the trigger acts as an accelerator. And I love the sharp turns too. There's something for everyone in this game. If you're not into tank or light cycle combat and prefer shoot 'em ups, you can take on the grid bugs in the IO tower level. Don't sweat it if you're horrible at it. Just keep practicing and remember, pictures or videos don't do the experience justice, because it's not about the graphics, it's about the gameplay and the immersion. You can't just load this baby up on a MAME emulator and get the same feel. You need the immersion of hunkering into the cabinet, having the light bounce off you in a dimly lit arcade, and become one with the joystick and control dial. That's how you get sucked into a game. It might be nostalgia talking, but I just find these classic arcade machines to be so much more fun and exciting than the photorealistic stuff on home systems today. I mean, how often do you see this kind of expression? Or this, from a home game. And the machine itself has such a presence, just like in Tron Legacy. I love all the classic arcade machines, but Tron definitely stands apart for its diversity in gameplay, as well as its techno-artistic shell. If you're a fan of the grid and there's a Tron machine in your area, be sure to grab your identity disc and download back into 1982, because the game hasn't changed. It's still as fun as ever. Got some Tron logic you'd like to share? Scroll down and go to town. Share if you like the video, and to join the tribe, hit subscribe. End of line, man.